This particular Saturday, Strauss and Sells found a group of 3 migrants who were suffering from drinking stagnant cow tank water. Migrants who are literally dying of thirst often drink from cow ponds when they become so desperate. Ingesting water contaminated with bacteria and cow dung causes severe vomiting and diarrhea that can be fatal. The on-call doctor that they called instructed Strauss and Sells to take the vomiting migrants to St. Mary's emergency room. They were arrested en route by the Border Patrol, charged with transport of illegal aliens, and now face 15 years in federal prison. Local Arizona medical professionals and international humanitarian aid organizations expressed outrage that humanitarian aid workers were criminally charged for providing life-saving help. Most kids their age spent the summer poolside or at the mall. Daniel and Shanti spent their summer saving lives. Daniel and Shanti are not criminals, they're heroes, said Lee Hutchins, a local ER nurse. Organizations such as Amnesty International issued statements supporting the couple's work on the border and calling for the dismissal of the criminal charges. This past October, after 15 months of fighting the charges, a judge in the Arizona District Court acquitted them. These stories beg the question of what drives people to take such drastic actions. What propels people to risk their lives in search of a better future? And what compels others to devote themselves to humanitarian efforts to rescue strangers in need? We must keep in mind that people who come across the border fleeing South America and Central America are led to believe that it is a much less dangerous trek than it really is. There are people known as coyotes who profit from leading South American immigrants across the desert, and Mexican and Central American immigrants. Many of them, of these coyotes, are unscrupulous, and they take advantage of these poor folks. They make promises about the length of the trip, often saying it can be done in one day. And they tell of water stations and supplies that often never materialize. Hundreds of people have been dying each year trying to cross the desert unprepared. But more than that, most of these people are not putting themselves and their children in jeopardy just in hopes of making a little extra money. Usually the motivation to leave everything and risk everything comes out of desperation. A Sunday sermon is not the forum, obviously, to go into all the economic and social factors that cause people to immigrate illegally into the United States. But let me just say that there's a lot more that our country could be doing to alleviate the need for illegal immigration besides building fences and arming border patrols and arresting humanitarian workers. The need for a more sensible and humane immigration policy in this country should come from an understanding that no one should receive the benefits of the global economy without also taking responsibility for the global community. No one deserves to go hungry or to endure inhuman living conditions just because they were born on the wrong side of the borders that make up what is, by all accounts, an unjust world order. And since this country has an insatiable desire for inexpensive labor, it's not right to force people to live in the shadows of our culture so that we can maintain this system. The fact is that many immigrant families in America and Oklahoma live in constant jeopardy and fear. Many immigrant workers are being exploited, and our economy needs them, but we still don't have an adequate way to manage immigration. Think about it. A need for inexpensive labor combined with no system to procure it legally keeps people living in the shadows of our society And it's a recipe for oppression and injustice. Of course, it's a lot easier to point our fingers at these mostly hardworking people and their children than it is to address the larger issues such as globalization and multinational corporatization and outsourcing of jobs. Huge issues like globalization and outsourcing are so abstract for most Americans. So undocumented workers have become the scapegoats that fuel the outrage of Americans who are feeling financially vulnerable. And pointing at undocumented workers like scapegoats, politicians find easy cover for their lack of adequate policies, economic and social policies. Now, there's no way that we're going to send back the 12 million undocumented workers who are living in America today. So we need to find ways to allow them to come out of the shadows. Creating laws that intimidate these people and intimidate those who will help these people are certainly not the answer. As a church, we're called to advocate for those who live on the margins of our society. We are called to treat every human being with respect and dignity. Without a doubt, creating a humane immigration policy in the United States is not simple, and it will require politicians with real courage and integrity. And it will require an American public who can remember who they are. America is a justice-centered and humane nation. Although Langston Hughes reminds us in his poem, "America never was America to me." European ancestors on this land came seeking a better life, some escaping persecution, some following a dream. America has come to be that for many, but not for the Indians who were here already, and not for African slaves, nor the immigrants and workers who were and are exploited. Hughes' poem goes on, "Oh yes, I say it plain, America never was America to me. And yes, I swear this oath, America will be. Out of the rack and ruin of our gangster death, the rape and rot and graft and stealth and lies, we the people must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains, and the endless plain. All the stretch of these great green states, and make America again." Our job is to remember who we are and what America is and has been, not to get caught up in a nostalgia and sentimentalism about America and false patriotism. Let ours be a church that remembers who we are, that makes hospitality central. Too often, religious institutions have been inhospitable. They were to Galileo, to Wagner, even to Jesus. His religion rejected him too. Today, religious institutions are still too often inhospitable, especially to gay and lesbian people. Our job is to proclaim that all are children of God. All deserve to be treated with dignity. May we welcome the stranger. Be a place that offers courage to those who are crossing frontiers in their own lives, and a place where we can come to remember who we are. As we think of the undocumented persons living in the shadows, the people feeling alone in their religious doubts, those who feel rejected by the church and their own families, those who are returning from war, as we gather ourselves, let us always remember to set a place for them.